All right. Welcome, everybody, to episode 4 of Ladies Night. I'm here with my ladies, Allie Wesel and Hannah LaMotta. And it's been several weeks since we caught up with everyone. So we have some fun, just baseball stuff to talk about. And then, of course, we will talk a little bit about the White Sox because we have to, I suppose. Well, actually, we probably don't have to, but we will. We'll talk a little bit about them. But we're going to kick off our night tonight by talking about the City Connect jerseys. So, the City Connect jerseys were debuted in 2021, and it was a collab between Nike and MLB to come up with designs that reflect the city's culture and communities. And so since 2021, 20 different jerseys have been rolled out. And then there are 9 more coming out this season. So, several have just dropped within the last few weeks, but this season is the Phillies, the Mets, and the Rays, which have already dropped. The Tigers, which we've seen, but debut actually tomorrow. Then we still have the Guardians, the Cardinals, the Blue Jays, the Twins, and then the Dodgers are coming up with a second one because, well, their first one was really kind of lame and it wasn't really much different than their original jersey. So there's quite a few coming out. And so what I thought we would do is kind of each talk about our favorites and then just react to the ones that have come out recently. So let's go with you, Allie. Why don't you start us off? Some thoughts.
Yeah. I mean, the one good thing that the White Sox have done over the last couple of years is definitely their City Connects. I think they're some of the cleanest. They're very simple, but I feel they pay really great homage to the South Side and the city. And I just love how like clean and crisp they look. They look really like they're also one of the few one of the few City Connects I feel like that looks really good on the field as well, not just in promo. Like wearing them and playing in them, they like I feel like they look cool. So that's like my number one. But if we're talking about like the ones that I guess have like been released recently, I was not very impressed with the Philly ones. I like whatever, but I really like the Tampa ones that just got released. Like of the ones this year so far that have gotten released, those are like so good, and I feel like they tapped into a part of the city that's like not really talked about, rather than like Detroit, for example, which we just saw like the mock-ups for, are like playing into the whole Motor City and stuff. And I just feel like there's like I've been talking with people and I feel like there's a lot more to Detroit than just being Motor City. Like there are so many like other pieces you could pull from, and I feel like the Tampa ones really pulled from a lot of different parts. So yeah, those are cool. What other like I think like if we're talking about past ones too, I really like Arizona, the Serpientes ones.
Yeah.
I just think those are cool. The San Diego color scheme, although it's super weird and random with that teal and magenta and the yellow accents, I just love that pop of color, and it feels, I don't know, it just feels very San Diego. Like I just really, I dig those.
It feels like a party. Like when I was looking through them, they didn't make my top 5 cut, but they were close because it just, to me, it just like screams fun, which is what baseball should be, right?
I would agree. I also, which I'm really sad because Washington's retiring. I think they're like not going to wear them after this season, which makes me really sad. But the cherry blossom jerseys are really great. I really like.
And those are so unique to like DC and stuff. I don't know why they're retiring them. That's
I don't know either.
a bummer.
Yeah. I also just have to also like honorary mention, they don't make my top 5 list, but the Brew Crew Milwaukee ones, as someone who formerly like lived in Milwaukee proper or the suburbs, I guess you could say, like I just the grill on the hat is just so Wisconsin and so Milwaukee. So good. Good.
I totally agree with you. They're my number 4. Like it's cheesy, but it's just so perfect. And I feel like that's part of what this whole concept is about, right? It's to make that connection. And that's, they definitely hit the target on that. I love that.
Yeah. Which, play into a trope. I feel like if you're going to play into a trope, play into it well and execute it. But if you're only going to just kind of do it, then it doesn't, if you're going to do it, you just got to full force.
Yep. Got to dive in. You got to take it on.
That's my long rant, I guess, about all the city connects that I enjoy. But yeah, so far I think Southside, like the Southside ones still reign at the top for me. And maybe that's partial, but they're just so good. And anyway.
I know I'm biased too. They're my number one. I tried not to be biased when I was sitting down and looking at it, but they just, I don't know. They're like the tuxedo of the baseball field to me. I don't know. They look so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So like, in addition to just like connecting really well with the fans, like I feel most Sox fans that I've talked to really connect with them and like them. But they just look sharp, man. Like I like a man in a suit, and it's like a suit mixed with a baseball like jersey. It's like primo.
I agree. That was my number one. I mean, I even unbiasedly, I think that I would choose that as probably my number one. I just like the way my dad doesn't like them because he thinks that this is going to get in everybody's head now, and then you're never going to be able to unsee it, but that it says Smith side.
Yes.
And like, I don't see it. I really don't. But I think they're literally my favorite unbiasedly. I think it's because they're simple, but they're also not at the same time. Like, they're not anything super crazy, but they look so good. And like, I think that even other fans have said themselves, like when they're ranking, like, what are your favorite ones? Everybody thinks Southside, especially when they came out in 2021, when we were actually good and we had like really good players, like when Tim Anderson, Moncada, like they looked so good in those jerseys, literally so good. So I think that helped a little bit. Obviously, they just had like a good aura around them, but I don't know. I think that those are my favorite, and I also like the I made like a list, but like it's all over the place. But I guess like tied for second would be San Diego and the Marlins, because they're both like very neon out there. I like the Marlins right away. And I also like the D-backs. And this might be an unpopular opinion, but I like the Rockies because like it looks exactly like their license plate. Colorado's license plate, it's the exact same design, and that's how I recognize it right away. And I like the mountains and I like the colors. I feel like it's a good color scheme for if you're going to have an alternate jersey, since they already have purple and whatever. And then like the newer ones, I do like the Rays a lot. I do wish that there was a little bit more contrast. Like it kind of blends in with the black background a little bit too much. I feel like maybe they could have made that, I don't know, because if they would have made that lighter, it wouldn't have been as good. So I don't know, but those are really good. Like they remind me of when that was like the first one I saw in a while that was like a straight up like, oh yeah, these hit, because there's been so many misses honestly since the 2021 season. I feel like all the best ones came out in 2021. Just in my opinion. Like I just feel like last year and like teams that you had high hopes for haven't been good. Like I thought the Phillies were going to put together something great. We all know the Dodgers just literally did not change their uniform whatsoever, so I'm glad they're coming out with a new one. But the Mets one, I love the Mets helmet. Like, but the jersey, I feel like the jersey could have added something more. It seems a little bland to me. I like the idea behind it, but maybe just like it's all like gray. So maybe just like one more different color to make things pop out a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like that one would have, if they would have hit a pop of purple a little bit more prominently, they would have been a lot better in like overall. But it was cool. Sorry, Hannah, not to sidetrack.
No, you're good.
I had actually just been to New York like the week before the Mets ones dropped and did the commute on the 4 train, the 4 or the 7, whatever train it was. Like I did that commute to Queens. So I knew like when they were talking about, oh, like this is the symbol for the train and all of this stuff. I I understood, and I was like, oh, okay, like I get that. The story behind the Mets ones I feel like was really simple and really like cool.
Yeah.
You know, but yeah, I do agree, like they needed a pop of color.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what I saw was a lot of people thought with the stripes and everything, it was like leaning too much Yankee like, and it wasn't like enough.
I could see that.
That's why I thought that they needed color, because when you think of like those plain colors, you would think of Yankees. When I think of Mets, I specifically think like orange, like bright orange and like blue. But I don't know if orange would have gone with that specific color scheme, but you know, like you said, purple also would have been good. Just something out there, something a little bit more to differentiate it from the basic of the, you know, New York Yankees and their colors and their color scheme, which is why I'm glad that like at least that I don't like the Wrigleyville ones at all, because I just don't like the Cubs, so I'm not gonna like anything they put out. But I do like how those are complete opposites. Like you have Wrigleyville and Southside, you have black and white, and you have, you know, the blue color, the blue powder color that they have, and you can very much so differentiate them. And they're on different sides. But with the two New York teams, I mean, I don't know. Are the Yankees set to have one out this year?
No, they are not. So the Yankees
don't.
And the A's are the only ones that don't have them.
Well, I get the A's, but why the Yankees?
I truly think that the Yankees will never have a City Connect, because they are so primed on tradition and the pinstripes that I would not be surprised if they choose not to ever have a City Connect.
I mean, I think that's
snooty. So snooty.
It seems like that's the path they're going down. If obviously the A's, they're not going to give them one in a transition year, because we all know that they're switching whatever and have to play.
That's a cool opportunity, though. That could have been a really awesome opportunity that they
give the fans something. I mean, my gosh.
I think that they just don't think so, because they're going to be in Sacramento and then Vegas. So it's like, what do you do something with, you know, like they could have done something for Sacramento for that next year while they're playing there and then switch them or something. But of course, MLB's jibbing the A's. They don't deserve that. Come on. They're already going through enough.
Yeah.
So if I was to gift you each a gift card, I'm like, here's a gift card, free money. You, other than Southside jersey, you get to purchase one. What are you purchasing?
I think I'm gonna go San Diego. I love San Diego. It's like one of my few second homes. I go there all the time. I have not been to their stadium yet, but I root for them, and I think that they have a really good team, and I like their energy and aura and the whole Slam Diego. So I think that representing them with their City Connects would be awesome, and I think that baseball means a lot in the city of San Diego. That's all they have, and I mean, not in a bad way. I meant like out of sports. That's the only sports team they have left. You know, the Chargers move. But I really like them, and a lot of people are like, "Whoa, that's too much." But to me, I like a pop of color and something that's so different from the original jerseys. I think that's what the City Connects are about to me. Just make them good. You know, some teams have made them good, and some teams haven't. So I think probably either San Diego or the D-backs. I don't know. The D-backs are really good too. I really like those.
Yeah,
right, Allie.
I think mine's the Nationals. I don't know. They're just also like the little, like in a girly sense, like I'm just like, oh, they're so pretty.
Yeah, like flowers.
And I just, with the City Connects, I will always stand on the simpler the better. And they pulled from like a really beautiful part of DC's like culture. I don't know if that's the right word, but like just something, and it's something that makes DC stand out, and they went with that, and it wasn't complicated. And I love the gray, that the pink really like pops off of that gray gradient that they chose to. So yeah, I'm probably going with that.
What about you,
Melissa?
Yep. So mine is actually the Astro. I know it's terrible, but I really think the whole Space City is cool, and I hate the Astros so much. But I was trying to be like, it's just like, okay, don't think about the team, just like look at the aesthetic and like how they incorporated it. And yeah, I can't even stand Texas as a state, so it really makes me cringe. But I just really like the retro feel to it and the colors, and but the Braves were close behind, with the Braves very much just the Hank Aaron era, and so vintagey. So I'm like that old vintage person who's like, oh, it reminds me of the olden days.
The Astros were close on my list. Like I thought about it, and then I like looked at them for like a little bit too long, and then I was like, what? Like Space City? It kind of just reminded me of like, I don't know, like in middle school when you'd wear like shirts with sayings on them, like Space City. Like I don't know. I was a little thrown off by that, but I do like the design of them, and I think that they're really cool. And I guess it's fine that it says Space City, but it's like nobody knows what that means if you're not a baseball fan. Like if you're wearing something that says Space City and someone's like, what is that? They're not going to know it's the Astros, but they're cool.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hate on your pick. They were almost in my list. So
all good.
Those just never did anything for me. I don't know. I see where people think they're cool. Like I get it for other people, but just for me, like, and it's not even the fact that I hate the Astros. It's just, I don't know, something about it just doesn't, I'm like, it felt very predictable. I think that was it. It was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, okay, fine. You did that.
No. And I think our discussion here has just shown like, it's cool that there are so many different ones, and like, people have different tastes and different interests, and different things like pop out to them as something that they like. And so I think just doing this whole concept was like a big home run for MLB to do it. So
yeah, I'm more impressed with this year's. Last year's really fell flat for me. There was a lot, like Cincy had a black jersey, Baltimore had a black jersey. Like I feel like a lot of them fell flat last year. So I'm happy to see some variety being brought back into the City Connects, and I'll be interested to see what they do for the Los Angeles like redo, because the Los Dodgers I get the whole like Los Dodgers thing, I do, but it literally looked like a Dodgers jersey. Like
they already have a Los Dodgers jersey, don't they? Like before that they had one, so I'm like, I'm just confused.
So
well, and what an opportunity. They have Shohei. So like, I mean, you have to make it just so cool. So I'm holding out. Maybe that'll be my jersey, because I really want just a regular Shohei jersey anyway, because he's my favorite. I love him so much. So yeah.
Do you have like the list or the ones that are going to be out the rest of this year? It's fine. I'm just curious.
So the Tigers, the Guardians, the Cards, the Jays, the Twins, and then the Dodgers will be last.
I'm excited to see the Cardinals. I've always liked the Cardinals a little bit. I like their design, so I'm excited to see what they would do with that. I'm sure there'll be an arch somewhere for maybe in the shoulder or something. Blue Jays will be fun too. I think that they're all good teams to like look forward to. You're right. I hope they shy away from last year. Like the Cincy and Baltimore, I had really high hopes for, because I feel like you could have done a lot with those designs, and those are really young, fun teams. So I thought they could have done more. So I think especially for the Cardinals, Blue Jays, and Dodgers. Yeah, I'm also curious. The Angels. I think the Angels would have it. Cool. Do they have one out?
They have one.
Yeah, they do. I forgot it. It's so plain and boring, but
it is. Yeah. I looked at it. I kind of liked the cream color, and they had like an ode to like lifeguard and stuff, different things, but it was still but it was still nothing like that was like, oh, this is really cool. So it's probably why you forgot about it.
Yeah, I think it is.
All right. So just kind of staying on our MLB theme here, I'm going to toss it to Hannah, and we're going to do our who's hot, who's not MLB style. So
yes. So I did this 2 episodes ago, I think, because I had missed the last one. But I have a list of who's hot and who's not for players, just a few players, and then who's hot and who's not for teams. So first for players, I'll start it off hot. Shohei Ohtani, we knew he was going to be hot, but he has a 355 average, 11 home runs, tied for second in the league. He's finally heating up, and he has a 1.103 OPS, which is crazy. There's only a few with that high. Brent Rooker, he has 9 home runs, and in the last week, he has 4 of them, and 11 RBI. and he's heating up, as are the A's. But I mean, he's always been a good player. He just gets underlooked because it's on the A's. But and then last, this kills us to say, but Dylan Cease. I mean, it doesn't kill me. Like, I want him to do good. It's hard to see. But good news is he has a 5-2 record with the Padres since joining them, a 2.19 ERA, and he went into Wrigley a few days ago against the team that traded him, which is always great revenge. And he went 7 innings with just 1 hit and 12 strikeouts. So that's insane. So yeah, if anybody has any thoughts about the hot players, not hot players, but they're hot right now. I mean, maybe actually.
I am so happy for Dylan Cease. I'm always I will stand by. There's got to be some toxicity. Actually, there doesn't have to be. There is toxicity within the White Sox organization, and I think it's proof of that when I watch players leave the organization and thrive elsewhere. Case in point, Dylan Cease is like the most recent example right now. And
Raylo.
Yeah, right. Raylo has, I think something's obviously not clicking here, and it's very apparent with the product that's both on the field and then the way that players are able to bounce back in different organizations. And it's not like the same players are going to the same organization where they're getting this coaching. They're going to multiple different organizations that are able to work with these players and have success. And so Dylan Cease obviously had an incredible 2022. Was that his Cy Young finalist season? I can't even remember now when that happened. And then dipped last year and was struggling to even go 5 and really struggled. So I'm happy to see him back, because I think there was also a lot of chatter of 2022 was just a flash in the pan. That wasn't actually him. 2023 is the real Dylan Cease. And clearly it's still, pretty early in the season with, probably just 7 or 8 starts. But I think that is really good news for Dylan Cease and hopefully a positive contributor to the Padres. So, yeah.
Yeah. And he has 6 quality starts.
Yeah.
60 Ks.
Which is
awesome.
That's wild, because a quality start, you have to go 6. And I've been talking to people actually about just pitching in general. And you don't see guys go more than 5+ lately. Nobody goes that long anymore, because they're throwing starting pitchers now are throwing at a higher velocity. They tire faster, they lose control faster. So a lot of players can't get through that 3rd time through the lineup. So that's incredible. I didn't know he had that many quality starts. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think I did that right. Somebody else can check my math, but I think I did it. A couple people that stuck out for me too. Juan Soto, and I have him on my fantasy team. So I was like, holy cow, it kills me to have a Yankee on my team. But again, hey, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. But he's slashing 338, 437, 586 with a 1.023 OPS too, and already a 2.1 WAR. We're just in the beginning of May, and the guy has a 2.1 WAR already. That's insane. Why can't we have those people? It's not fair.
The whole Juan Soto on the Padres dip and how easy they were willing to trade him away. The whole thing really doesn't make sense to me, because I do feel like if they gave him more time or this year with the Padres, he would be killing it just the same. I hate to give the Yankees credit, because I could have included them and their players. I'm just I hate talking about the Yankees, but yeah, I mean, he's a different player. And yesterday, I think he had a 400+ feet home run opposite field, which was crazy. So, yeah.
Also, while we're talking about pitching, not that we want to talk about the Cubs, but Shota Imanaga, a 1.08 ERA, just insane. That was probably, if he continues the way that he is, that will probably be the best offseason signing of the season, all of MLB. So
And what, Rookie of the Year and Cy Young potential, right? Because
Yeah.
this is his first
Yep.
season. So
Yep.
that's insane. So now the Cubs just need a really good closer. Hey, can we sell you Michael Kopech?
Yeah.
Go back. Did he come
I guess I made my list a little biased because I definitely almost included him and Soto because those are just my two least favorite teams. I didn't want anything to do with any of them. I don't like to acknowledge when the Cubs are good, but unbiasedly, yes, he's been insane. And even the other day when they did leave him in and he gave up a 2-run homer, his ERA only moved to like 1 point something. I don't know, but it was so low already. And it's like, wow, even in, I mean, he's just been crazy. And I guess he loves Chicago. Can't hate on the dude.
Yeah.
We can hate on the team overall, but we can like individual players.
Yeah. We can acknowledge, like, yes, when they're good, you got to give it to them, right? I mean, good is good. The numbers don't lie. So
yeah.
I always like the underdog too. So Mason Miller, the closer for the Oakland A's, he is killing it.
He's insane.
Yeah, 1.10 ERA, 8 saves and 8 opportunities, and 33 Ks.
He's consistently throwing above 100. Like for all those strikeouts, almost all of them, if they're on the fastball, he's throwing 102, 103. I'm like, we have not seen this in so long. It does worry me a little bit about his arm because based on the fact
the Tommy John coming.
Yes, like basically I'm like, okay, at some point in this dude's career, if he's throwing like this, it might be a Tommy John, but I mean, he's still young, and I don't think the A's are going to get rid of him for anything, even if they are selling. I think that's a guy that you have to hold on to. I do think a lot of people would give up a lot for him, but you can't. I mean, he's crazy. Like I feel like I haven't seen a closer like that in a while. Just pure. I mean, yeah, there's people throwing like 100, 101, but this dude's topping out at 103. Like that's different.
And 16 and a third innings, and he's got 33 strikeouts. Think about that. That's just like he's striking out basically 2 out of 3 batters every time he's out there.
I've seen video where like batters can't catch up to him at all.
Yeah.
Like, they can't time him up, and then when he throws that high fastball, like nobody's touching it. Everyone's under it because it's it's thrown at that sweet spot where it kind of looks like it's coming in as a strike, and then it's like it's just at the top of the zone. It's insane. Yeah. I love good pitching. That is the one thing in baseball that really gets me going. So it's really cool to like see these guys like just throwing so well. It excites me.
And even like when it's not a good team like the A's, there's something exciting about a save. Regardless of how good the team is or isn't. I mean, the White Sox, when they had Bobby Thigpen, and it was like 57 saves every time he came in for a save, and it was just, I don't know. To me, I can get really excited about a save. So, but I think, Hannah, I'm opposite of you. I think that they're going to shop him, and I think they're going to shop him hard, and they're going to look for a big, huge payoff for it, and try to stock up so that when they do make the move to Sin City, they're going to have a stacked team full of all these young guys. So we'll see. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
As long as the Cubs don't get him, like that would be possibly worst case scenario ever if the Cubs got him.
I don't think they have enough in their system.
No.
I mean, unless they were willing to give up like Pete Crow Armstrong or something. I don't know.
The only way I could see him being traded is to Baltimore, because Baltimore desperately needs a closer this year, and they're really good. Like having a closer like him on that type of team would be 100% the danger. So I think that they also still have a lot. I mean, Baltimore just has like the most stacked farm system I've ever seen, I feel like, and it just keeps coming in, all these new players that all look the same, and they're all like really, really good. But I still feel like they do have a few down there still that they could shop, and that's probably what they'd be looking for.
Yeah.
So, but that was the hot list for the players. Now, the not so hot. This goes against what I was saying about White Sox players that have gone to do good. We have Dylan Cease, and then we have 2 players. That's all I wanted to talk about. and it's just like, well, what the heck? Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu. Tim Anderson has a 203 average on the year, which is not normal for him. Usually he'd be up in the threes. No home runs, just 6 RBIs, one of the worst OPS in the league, and 37 strikeouts in 35 games. And his fall off needs to be studied because, I mean, this dude, what was it, last year in the World Baseball Classic, he's on Team USA. That's a really good achievement. Year before that, he's the starting shortstop for the All-Star game, and he's the face of Chicago. Like, especially when it comes to baseball, like, it was a debate, who's the better shortstop in the city, Tim Anderson, Javi Baez, or, everybody. Tim Anderson was just, his fall off needs to be studied because he's not that old to be the decline. It wasn't just a White Sox thing. A lot of people thought it was maybe like you just need a new change of scenery, but it's clear that might not be the case.
To be fair, though, he's also playing on one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, but
I like, similar to the White Sox, everyone on that team is struggling to hit. Everyone on that team is struggling to score. You know what I mean? So, but to your point, yeah, since the All-Star break of 22, he's been like one of the worst shortstops in the league.
Yeah.
But he was a 2-time silver, like he's a 2-time silver slugger. He's the AL batting champion of 2021. Mm-hmm. Did he not compete for a rookie of the year? I don't know. He was just,
like
he was an elite shortstop for a very long time. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that he began to get plagued by injuries. And, after a while, like, you can't play at the top of your game when you're constantly being injured. And if you're not playing all the time, like, you can't hone in on all of those skills. But as we know, I do think like there was a lot happening off of the field that was directly playing into like his mental health. And if you're not all in a game and competing at a high level like that, like, things are going to start taking a toll. So I hope he's doing okay though, because like that's a lot.
Like I thought the Marlins would be a perfect like team. I mean, to start the season, nobody knew that the Marlins were going to be this bad. I thought that they were still going to be. I mean, they made the wild card last year. Nobody expected this, but I thought that like with a team like I saw him going good with Arias and Jazz, and like maybe. Okay, it's kind of evident that the power is mostly gone for the most part, with 1 home run the entire season last year, which I was at, by the way, that game. But anyways, the average strikes me too, because it's like, okay, if you don't have power and you're not getting on base, like, what are you doing? If you're not at least getting on base with, he only has like, I think 3 doubles, no triples, and yeah, I mean, it's just like either you got to hit for average or hit for power usually most of the time, right? And if you're not doing either, what are you doing?
And you're not playing good defense because he's
never been a good defender.
He's never a defensive shortstop.
So I'm sad for him. I hope he can still turn it around. I think that a lot of people. I don't think there's any White Sox fans that like wanted him to do bad. Like most of the time, it was just like good riddance. Like hopefully you do well. And to see that hasn't translated, even though he has switched to a whole different change of scenery, which was what most people were saying was needed. It's like, okay, what now? Like, are the Marlins going to hang on to him for the rest of the season? I don't know. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, the Marlins are already selling. So
exactly.
I was shocked that they traded Luis Arraez. Like, clearly they're laying down and showing all their cards early, so it's only May.
I know. And is Jake Berger injured? Because I feel like I haven't seen anything from him recently.
Yes, he is. He's due back here pretty soon. But yeah, he's been out for quite a while. So, well,
speaking of the other not hot is the whole Jose Abreu story. I don't think we've talked about that. But I just think that I feel bad for him. I didn't know he was doing that bad. I thought it was like, okay, April Abreu, yeah, he always kind of sucks. Like, but at this age, I mean, that might be one of the worst contracts in recent seasons if he continues at this rate. And I did not see that coming. Like, I thought that they would at least, I don't know, like, I get, like, switch something up, but sending him down, that's crazy. And, you know, it's just not something you want to see from a guy like him. Like, he loves the game, and he is a great person, a great teammate. So, yeah, I don't know.
I had heard that the first move down was partially his suggestion. Like, not to the rookie ball, but he went to some, like, in between situation, basically just to, like, get back in the lab and, like, work on his swing and kind of, like, fix some things. But the rookie ball thing is the thing that surprised me, because I thought that he was in agreement with the Astros to, you know, go and like try and fix some things. But now I feel like it's a longer game he's now playing. That's kind of the vibe that I get. So.
Yeah, I thought for sure, I mean, it killed us all that he went to, of all places, the Astros, but I thought, boy, get him in a winning environment and put him with some, you know, solid coaching and development and leadership. And I just thought, boy, he is going to plug and play right into that. And, you know, he did do decently well for them in the playoffs, I think, for the most part. But other than that, I mean, his last year wasn't great either. It wasn't kind of till the end there towards the playoffs that he kind of started heating up for them. So it's just age has caught up with him, I think, unfortunately. And I'm not sure if going down is even going to do anything at this point. I mean, sometimes it's just Mother Nature just takes its course, and, you know, time is up.
He was the MVP of the league 4 years ago, and that's still crazy to me that, you know, less than 4 years ago at this, you know. So, I mean, I hope that he does well. I hope he can get back up there, but the Astros are also just not, which I'll talk about that, and not hot teams, but, you know, the Astros themselves aren't doing too great either. So it could end up being a big bust of a signing for both parties, but you never want to see that with a guy like him. So.
Yeah.
All right. I was just going to say, really, before we keep going on to the next topic, we're going to take a quick break. Listen to whatever it is that they're trying to sell you, because I'm sure it's phenomenal, but we'll be back in just a second. All right, we're back. So we're going to keep on our MLB talking about who's hot and who's not. Kind of just wrapped up talking about Jose. Was there anything else anybody wanted to say before we moved on to teams?
Not about Jose specifically, but I did have one player that I quickly wanted to mention.
Oh, sure.
Alek Manoah, as we know, like, got optioned to AAA last year, had a really rough 2023 season, and made his MLB debut last week, I think, and went 4 innings and gave up 6 runs. And I mean, this is, again, another guy that, like, was a finalist for Cy Young Awards and was a very dominant pitcher in Toronto. And I as Hannah said, Tim Anderson's downfall needs to be studied. And I think Alek Manoah's is also another one of those cases where I just want to, like, I feel so bad for him, and I just want to know
what happened.
Because he was so good. Like, 2021, a 3.2 ERA, 2022, 2.24. Last year, he's 3-9 with a 5.87 ERA. He gets sent down to AAA, and now he's back for 1 start, and he can only go 4 innings because he gave up 6 runs. Like, I just want to know what's going on. And he's
sorry.
No, he's young too. Like,
how old is he?
He is 26. Like, he's
wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. He's also been getting shelled in AAA as well most of the time. He's just not. I don't understand how that physically happens with, like, especially like with pitchers, because it's like you have your skill, you have your stuff. The only thing that would make sense is, like, okay, there's an injury or something like that, but clearly that's not the case, or else they would have shut him down in the midst of all this. So what could it be? I don't know.
I mean, it could also just be a case of the yips. Like, you know, at some point, some mental barrier comes up and you just can't throw the way you used to, and you can't ever really get back. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's it's astounding. But yeah, I feel all of these players we're talking about that are really struggling, like I just feel so bad for too, because when you are competing, like you're on such a high, right? When you're competing at such a high level and like you're touted as like the best in the league and winning all of these awards, and then you fall off like that. I can't imagine the toll that takes to like just mental health and just like your mentality playing the sport too, because you so badly, I'm sure, want to get back to that, and then you see it just continuing to slip away. So yeah, that was just my one. We can move into teams now.
Sad note to end on, but well, on a brighter note, I mean, not for us because there's nobody in this list that we particularly like, I think. But the first team that comes to mind is the Minnesota Twins. They did have a 12-game win streak until Sunday, but then they lost. Half of their wins from that win streak came against us, by the way, so I don't know if it's valid. And since then, they're 2-1, and they took a series from the Seattle Mariners. The Dodgers, again, as expected, they currently have a 7-game win streak. The Phillies are 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they're in first place in the NL East ahead of the Braves. And I guess you wouldn't say that they're like super hot, either of them, but the Nationals and the A's have both surprised me this year. They both have 18 wins, which is more than I was expecting, and they're both 6-4 in their last 10 games. And I think that their rebuilds, or them being bad, is excelling quicker than we thought. And I think that a lot of people still expected them to be on like, bottom of the league. Like, we have 9 wins. These teams have 18. So they're excelling, and I think that their rebuilds are moving in the right direction. I think there's a lot of young talent, and to me, it's crazy that the Nationals, in the last 5 years, they've had an elite team with some of the biggest stars in the game, won a World Series, traded them all away, had a rebuild, and are now seeing results of that second rebuild all in the last 5 years. So I guess they just know how to do it, right? So props to them. CJ Abrams is a real good shortstop for them. I think that he's going to be good. And the A's, I mean, I've seen a lot from the A's recently when it comes to like the players that we've already mentioned, and just in general, I think that they have a much better team, and they seem to be getting wins. So yeah, those are the teams I wanted to talk about for the hot. If anyone has anything to say.
I'm just always a fan of the underdog. So, and I'm jealous of teams that can actually successfully execute a rebuild. So I'm excited for both the A's and the Nationals, and envious at the same time.
Yeah. You have anything for the hot? No?
I don't.
You don't care about any of those teams?
I will not lie. I have watched a lot less baseball than is typical of me this season. So I'm kind of like, I've seen highlights and stuff, but I'm not as like in the loop about it all. But all of that sounds correct and good.
Yes. So for the not, we have the Colorado Rockies. Luckily they won today, so now they don't have the worst record in the league. They're tied with the White Sox for the worst. They are 9-28 as well. Woo! And I mean, that team needs to be studied as well, because like everything that I just feel like I feel bad for them. I feel like, especially with the whole Chris Bryant signing, that couldn't have gone worse, honestly. And they don't really have like an exciting farm to look forward to, and I just feel like they're really just going to be stuck at the bottom or mid-tier for God knows how long. I didn't know they were going to be this bad this year, but I should have known. But Cincinnati Reds are also not good, which is disappointing to see, because they were one of those teams that almost made it last year, and they have the young, exciting players. They are on an 8-game losing streak, and they're 1-9 in their last 10 games. So yeah, that's a little disappointing. And then as always, our beloved Chicago White Sox are going to be in the not hot this entire year. So they're the only team in the Central below 500, way below 500, not even anywhere near. tied for the worst record with the Rockies at 9-28, but they could see double-digit wins tonight and move to the second worst in the league with a win. And currently we are up 3-0, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so they're at the time of speaking, they are tied for the worst record, but at the time of this tomorrow or whenever this comes out, they might be the second worst. So that'd be nice, and we might get double-digit wins. And a lot of people were saying we wouldn't get double-digit wins until like June. So, I think we're excelling a little bit, but we're still not hot enough to be anywhere near hot. So we're just going to be not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think you have to be like, if you look at the last 10 games to be in our hot category, you at least have to be like 500. In our last 10 games, we were 4-6. So if we win tonight, then we can say in our last 10 games, we're 5-5. Woo!
That'll sound good. That'll sound good for us. I mean, that's big stuff here. So
it is.
But yeah, I mean, I feel for the Reds. I didn't include them, but I just checked the Astros. They did win today. If they didn't win today, I would have put them in the not hot. But they are last place in the AL West, and they are 13-24. And like, what's going on? Because we're getting into, once you get into like late May / June, July, you can't just say, oh, it's only April. Oh, it's only early May. So they got to pick it up. And now, you're 11 games under. You got to start chipping away at that eventually. I do think that they have a lot of talent still. I think that they're the Astros. They're still going to be there. But that last place in the division does not look good right now. Even the Angels, the Shohei Ohtani-less Angels are above them by 1 game in the standings. So just the mix with the Abreu stuff and then them being dead last in their division, and the Yankees have owned them so far this year. If they didn't win today, they would have swept both of their series against them, but they did win against the Yankees today by 1 run. So I think they're now like 1-6 against the Yankees. Woo. But yeah, they just haven't been the Astros, the typical Astros.
It's interesting too, like thinking about it, because I feel like there were a lot of new managers that were hired in the off season, specifically the Astros. Like Dusty Baker retired, and now they've got, I forgot what his name is now. But at any rate, like new management. And so you have to wonder, like, does that play into it? But then you look at a team like the Guardians, who I'm watching play the White Sox right now with bases loaded, no outs in the top of the 7th. And like Stephen Vogt is a brand new manager over there. Terry Francona retired, and like they're at the top of the division right now. Granted, it's the AL Central and not as competitive, but still, like, they've got a good record. And so like it's interesting to see those teams that are in transition years with new management, like how they fare, because some teams I feel like really thrive, and then other teams, like we're seeing, I think with the Astros, like are struggling a little bit.
And doesn't the Astros, isn't it Joe Espada? Isn't that the guy?
Yeah, their bench coach. Yeah, their bench coach fired, which is even curiouser, right? Because he was working directly under Dusty Baker. You would think it would be a pretty smooth transition, but clearly something's going on.
And I think he interviewed for the White Sox job too. So interesting.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's all I have for the hot. Today's edition of Who's Hot and Who's Not, like the game show.
I'm going to do a little tease then, and we're going to hold this one until the next one, because I think it's going to take a big chunk up, and I want to give it the time that it's due. But so I think we'll punt our discussion about umpires and the automated balls and strike system for our next one, because I think that it's with what has been happening lately with umpiring and a lot of missed calls. One that happened to go our way this weekend on Saturday, called third strike in the 10th inning. That was not a strike. So I'm gonna punt that one, and then we're gonna just wrap up tonight with our White Sox play since we've last met. So something that has frustrated us or made us angry or was dumb since we last met. And then, for feeling guilty about talking about something that sucks, you can throw in something that's positive, something that, in this window where we maybe have gone 4-6, maybe 5-5, if there's some bright spots for you. So Hannah, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, so we're talking about the sucks first, the bad.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to have a discussion. Has Eloy Jimenez ever had a clutch hit in his life? And has he ever done good with the bases loaded? I'm not kidding you. I feel like constantly he's had opportunities and he can't be clutch. It is what it feels. And that really makes me mad because you're in the middle of our lineup, right? Like you're supposed to be one of our guys who can, hit a home run in a big situation or, and it's just like you automatically assume double play or he's going to pop out or something stupid. So I don't think that's a specific play, but it's a specific issue that I've been seeing. And I went to one of the games against, I don't even remember who it was. It was like last week when they were last home. And, he had a few chances in big moments. I think we were down 1 and there was a runner on and I was like, oh my gosh, what if he just hit a walk-off home run, right? Like what if he did something? And it's just like, no, you expect a strikeout or a double play. So I think Eloy in general has just been, at this point, a lot of people are ready to write him off, right? But I do wish he was able to perform better in clutch situations. I feel like he's never really had a big moment like that I can remember in his entire White Sox career. Honestly, like there was one against Kansas City when he came back after injury and he smoked a go-ahead home run, but that's like the only one I can think of.
Yeah, he had his thanks Cubs moment.
Yeah.
Way back in time, but yeah, agree with you. And that breaks my heart too because I've been a big supporter of Eloy. I think he's got a super personality and just some raw talent, but for whatever reason, he just can't. If it's the starting of the injury cycle with him, if it. Okay, in spring training, he was doing really well, and then he gets hurt, and so then it pedals him back, and then he can't get started, or then he gets started again. And so if it's that whole stop-start that just throws the flow of a season off for him, because there's no doubt that the guy can hit. It's just we have not been able, since his Silver Slugger year, we haven't seen the fruits of that talent, and it's super, super frustrating.
Yep.
My White Sox moment actually happened while we were chatting. Andrew Benintendi went to catch a ball in a line drive in the outfield, and it went in his glove and out of his glove. And I just feel like that just encapsulates so much of what is happening on this team. Like the lack, it just bothers me too because like Pedro came in and said we're going to focus on defense, like defense is going to be a top priority, and then I like just of the games that I've caught this year, there's just so many. It's just bad baseball. It is not smart baseball, and that just I don't like when people play dumb baseball. Like if you're going to be bad, that's fine, but just I don't know. Be smart about it.
That's like when the DeYoung, whatever it was against the Twins, and he bases loaded or whatever situation with 2 outs, and he let it just dribble right. He just missed a ground ball at shortstop. Like that is an automatic like offense to me. Like you cannot have that at a major league level. Period. Like, and it's so funny because Pedro and the White Sox, like they haven't had anything else to be like, yeah, we have this, so they're gonna resort to, yeah, we have defense, and we're gonna play sharp defense, and it's like you're not at all. So.
So yeah, that's my sucks. Melissa,
yeah. Well, I know you had mentioned one of the players we're talking about. The pitcher kind of having the yips. Like, I wonder if like Andrew Benintendi, there's something going on mentally there because like, yeah, he's never like last year he wasn't a great defender, but I feel like this year, like he is just not with it at all in the outfield, whether he's misplaying jumps or he's getting a poor read on the ball or he's dropping the balls or I mean he looks like he is out of his psychological space when he is out there. So that has been for the $75 million man not being able to hit but not even being able to be the average defender we were told he could be. Like, we knew he wasn't going to be Luis Robert Jr., but like, can you at least be average? But he can't even be that. So that's, yeah. My sucks also happened to be reassured while we were watching this is Pedro's inability to appropriately manage the pitching staff. So Fetty was awesome. 6 solid innings. Awesome. Why are you putting him out there for the 7th inning? Like, I just don't understand it. Like, he has been doing, he came off a rough start. His last start was kind of rough. So this start was really solid, giving up no runs, pitched awesome through 6 innings. Okay, that's it. Then you have 7, 8, 9. We have people in the bullpen. Now, they might not be great, but
They're
still,
people.
yeah, they're people. There's bodies. We got to try and give it to them anyway. And
Yep.
So instead, let Flexen get the base, or let Fetty get the bases loaded, and then try to salvage it with the bullpen. Like, it makes me crazy. And this is not like, obviously, this is just one example because he does it all the time. He never knows when to like call it a day with these guys.
That does lead into my good though. Which we've chatted about Jordan Leisure before, but like, he just came into the game and got bases loaded, no outs, and ended the inning with,
unbelievable.
Like
2 strikeouts or 1 strikeout. I don't know if he struck out the first guy, but he had a really good second.
He got 2 strikeouts and a ground out to end the inning. And he's just, I mean, they threw his stats up. He's got like a 2.57 ERA. I mean, it'll be lower now that he, just got that quick inning, like ended that inning. But I just, he's definitely someone like I hadn't heard of before this season. And I think he's definitely like shown through in some clutch positions. And so that's good to see. And also, Brian Ramos coming up from AA, and just seeing him, I think he's like 2 for 3 tonight or something. Like, it's incredible. It's nice to see. I feel like we've been talking about Brian Ramos for like a season or two now, and just his development. And so it's really great to see these guys come up and get a chance. And I think like, provide a little bit of light in a dark season. But like, that's the thing is, and we've touched on a lot of these things before, but it's like, okay, the young guys are there and they're ready to kind of have this shot. So we suck booty hole. Like, just bring up the young guys, let them have these reps and these at bats. And if they fail, it's not as big of a deal because we know that we're super bad. And clearly, like, Brian Ramos is taking the bull by the horns and taking the opportunity and, running with it. And I think that's just great. And I love that.
I know. And like Mendick, right? Isn't he coming back and they're like going to send him down or whatever, or Rummelard or whoever? Like, I get confused between all these randos that we have that are coming and going.
Yeah.
I think Ramos has been really good to watch and made it a little more watchable because at the beginning of the season, before we swept the Rays, it was getting to a point of like, oh my God, we have 3 wins. Like, we might be the worst like team of all time. Okay. So, and then we doubled our wins in one series. And I think my favorite moment, like, I hate to give him credit. I guess I don't, because we paid $75 million to him, but the Andrew Benintendi walk off, I mean, that was a really cool moment. And it was like the whole bat flip, the stadium was filled, and it just felt like, it made me like sad. I was like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of like
good baseball.
Like, this is what it's like to watch good baseball. And then we swept the Rays, which is still beyond me how we did that. And then like, we're still one of the worst records in the league, but we're not talking like worst team of all time at this point. Like I said earlier, people didn't even think we were going to get 10 wins until June. I don't know if that was like an exaggeration. It probably was, but if we have good young players, I still don't understand Oscar Colas not being on this team, but that's a whole other story. But it is a little bit more watchable than before that Rays series. And like, even if they win tonight, how we said 5-5 in their last 10, I'll take that. I mean, we don't have super high expectations, so it's sad that's what I'll take. But I think just putting a product on the field that's watchable and something that you want to watch, because when we did have 3 wins, I couldn't physically watch. It was paining me. But most of the games since then, if they've lost them, they have been close. There was a few against in that Twins series, even though we did get swept. They were close games, and it was watchable. And the game that I went to, like, Benintendi had another home run in the bottom of the 8th, and he tied it back up. So they're competing more. I will say that. Everybody knew that their historically bad start wouldn't necessarily last the entire year, because that's not almost physically able to happen. But yeah, I mean, I guess there are more positives than the last time I appeared on the podcast.
Yes, I will agree. I mean, we got to take our successes when we can get them, and there have been, if we're going to criticize, then we also do have to point out the things that are going well. I mean, to be fair, I think it's a good thing. And so my good thing, I practiced, I'm probably not going to do a very good job, but Chris Getz trading Robbie Grossman for Anthony Hohapi Chui Otua, I think.
Close.
It's close-ish anyway. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan of the whole like load up on veterans and hope that we can trade them at the deadline kind of thing. I don't really think that has a long-term success as a plan. But since we did it, I mean, I'm kind of excited. I believe Anthony is headed to the Barons, who are unbelievable. I am like contemplating getting a stupid MLB TV subscription so that I can watch these Barons games, because this team of kids is so exciting. I listened to Chuck Garfine's podcast with Sergio Santos the other day, and first of all, can we get that dude to be our manager, because he is energy and fun and everything I think I enjoy in a baseball manager, not the Pedro bot that we have. But so he's headed down to pitch on that like already unbelievable lights out starting staff that they have down there. So, if this kid can turn out to be something, in a couple of years, hey, bring it on. So.
Yeah, I mean, the farm system has been exciting. It keeps, getting better, and it keeps getting more exciting, especially with Colson Montgomery. He's heating up as well, and it's just like, it's hard to get your hopes up as a White Sox fan, because we've had a farm system that was top 4 in the league that was supposed to win World Series, and we had a failed rebuild. So it's like, I'm not getting my hopes up yet, but at least we have a better direction than I would say some of the other, like the Rockies, like the Marlins. They don't have, they're trading away all, like, I mean, they did get some prospects with Arias again, but before that they didn't have much in their system. So I guess the farm system is something to be excited about. It's just a point of, will we develop them, and will they actually live up to their expectations this time, unlike the current players that didn't. And
Can we develop them? Can we successfully develop them?
That's a whole other topic, but
yeah, that would be a whole nother ladies' night topic. Yeah. So and then we've gone over an hour, ladies. The time always seems to fly when we hang out and talk baseball, and I love that. So thank you so much for joining me tonight. And so look for us. We'll do one more of these in May, as we hope to do 2 every month. So far that's hung on. So thanks, girls, and we will do this again soon.
Yeah.
Yours.